Hello guys, you're welcome to Nigeria Mom's Diary. Today's content is not a family content as usual, it is a career content. As you all know, or if you don't know, I am a chemistry teacher, so we are approaching chemistry practical in WAEC, and I thought it important to let students know the 14 errors they can make that can cause their marks to be deducted. To the glory of God, I have been marking WAEC for a while now, and there are some principles that we use in marking. There are some things that we deduct students' mark for. So this is what I want to tell you so that you will not make that error in this upcoming WAEC. So let's dive into it. Concordance of value. Your titration value must be concordant to your teacher's value. Every chemistry teacher will always do the same practical with the students, and a report form will be submitted to WAEC. This report form is it's what examiners use to judge or mark the students. So if your titration value tallies with your teacher's own, or it's not further than plus or minus 0.15, you have 4 marks. If it is plus or minus 0.2, you have 3 marks. Plus or minus 0.3, you have 3 marks. And plus or minus 0.4, you have 4 marks. Anything above that is 0. So WAEC examiners look for 2 best titration values on your table. The one that agrees most to your teacher's own, they pick it. So a child can have 8 marks there, a child can also have 0 marks there. So ensure you do your titration very well so that it will be very close to your teacher's value. The second one is averaging. For you to be able to score a good mark in averaging, you need to have two consistent values or 2 concordant values. What 2 concordant values means is that when you are averaging, the 2 values or 3 values that you are using must not be far from each other more than plus or minus 0.2. The moment that happens, it will not be recorded for you, even if you calculated it properly. Here is what I mean. Let's go to the board. For instance, if your first titration value is 20.60, and the second one is 20.70, and the third one is 20.80, you divide it by 3 to get the average. You must check that the first and third, and the second and third. So there are 3 that you must check together. Majority of the students check 2. They don't check the third one. But if you have 20.60, you have 20.70, and you have 20.60, you have 20.80, and you have 20.90, you are supposed to divide by 3. But if you look at these values, you will see that not all are concordant. The first one and second one are concordant. The second and the third one are concordant, but the first one and the third one are not concordant. So you will not get your mark there. You will lose the 2 marks for averaging there. So ensure that you use concordant values. I usually advise my students to use just 2. 2 is safe. You use 2 concordant values and divide it by 2. The third reason why if we deduct your mark is if you write in pencil. Many a times we think that we are very careful, that's why we are writing in pencil. But in practical chemistry, when you write in your tables with pencil, you will be penalized, and that is deduction of 2 marks. If after you have written with pencil, you change it back to biro, you still lose 1 mark. So what should you do? You get your pencil and write faintly at the back of your answer booklet. After you have organized your table and you are sure that these are the values you want to use, then you transfer neatly and clean that off. It is better than writing in the exam booklet with pencil, or writing with pencil and changing it to ink. Fourth thing that can make the way to deduct your mark is if you did not put unit on your table, or maybe you put a wrong unit. The unit on titration table is centimeter cube. Ensure you put it on your table, or you write it somewhere on your table that all burette readings are in centimeter cube. Very important. The 5th thing that can make your mark be deducted in chemistry practical is be consistently putting your burette readings in 1 decimal place. We all know that burette readings are supposed to be in 2 decimal places. If you put yours in 1 decimal place, you will be penalized. But if it's only 1 place or the other, maybe it's only in 1 place where you mistakenly put 1 decimal place, you lose 1 mark. But if you have in more than 2 places, you lose 2 marks maximum. Another reason why your marks can be deducted is if you have arithmetic error. For instance, you put 20.60 plus 20.80 and you say your answer is 40.50 mistakenly. You will be penalized for that arithmetic error. But after you have been penalized, other workings or other calculations where you use that reading, you will not be penalized. We only penalized in one spot where you made a mistake. Then the teacher marking will use your value to follow up with the other calculation. You see, we are nice, right? Very good. But ensure that you calculate correctly. If you have that arithmetic error, in one place you get -1, in 2 places you get -2. Next is when you put alkali in burette. Most of the time in WAEC, put acid in the burette and we use our pipette for the alkali. So if through your record or through whatever it is that you have been asked, we deduce that you put alkali in the burette, 4 marks will be deducted because that shows you do not know what you are doing. The next thing that can cause your mark to be deducted is if you put your average title value without showing the table where you got it, you are going to lose 4 marks. That means you just got the titration, the title value from somewhere. The next thing is deliberate alteration of values. Deliberate alteration of values to agree to teacher's title. When you are writing on your table, you have to be very careful. Don't change 8 to 6, 6 to 8. The moment we see any alteration, especially when the alteration tallies with your teacher's value, we penalize. So for each alteration, -1 will be deducted. -1 will be deducted up to maximum of -2. Another grievous offense is cancellation of table. If you draw your table and you decide to cancel it and draw another one, and especially if the second one you have drawn tallies with what your teacher's table is, then you'll be penalized, and it starts -4 marks for cancellation of tables. A student that uses 0.00 as its initial value must ensure that it calculates and get the volume of acid used and not use it. Here is what I mean. If your initial value is 0.00 and your final is 20.60, automatically you know that the volume of acid used will be equal to the final reading. So some students don't like to write it. Since they started from 00, they just leave it like that and expect you to subtract it for them. Please ensure you always do the needful. If you make this mistake, you are going to lose a total of 2 marks. So ensure that even though the burette reading, the final reading is 20.6, for instance, initial is 0.0, you know that the answer will still be 20.60. Ensure you write it, fill all the columns correctly. You can check out this channel for a video on how to draw a titration table. The next thing is, if you have a titration value that is above 50, you are getting 0, because WAEC will not give you any titration that the answer will be above 50. That must mean that you have done something wrong and you will score 0 on the table. But whichever value you eventually get will be used for your calculation, but you will not score anything on the table. The last but not the least reason why your mark can be deducted is if you interchange final and initial. You can see that in the titration table I drew here, it is final, initial, and volume of acid. If you put initial first before final, 2 marks will be deducted from your score. You see, if we total all these errors together, if you make each of these errors, you would have lost almost 25 marks, even if you got all your answers correctly. So that is something about practical. Ensure that you put this into perspective when you are doing your practical. I wish you best of luck. Subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you can ask your various questions and I can answer and assist you at this season. Thank you very much. Have a great day.